Sheridan, Wyoming. I just got done with a two-day task force meeting. That task force, as you know, is the Digital Information Privacy Task Force, where we're studying different aspects of how the state of Wyoming handles your digital information if you do make contact with the state of Wyoming. And that has to do with school kids, any public school, any kind of information you may deliver to the state. And we're looking at the different policies being set forth. And to be honest, the focus has been primarily on public schooling, whether it's your K through 12 or your university or your colleges. And that has been our primary focus. A lot of reasons why, though. A lot of reasons why we're looking at these things. And well, first and foremost, obviously, it's because it's our future, it's our children, and how we're handling their information. It's paramount that their information is protected, and we've got some pretty good hands here in the state of Wyoming that know the ins and outs of that situation, as far as the ETS agency and several different IT departments and figureheads throughout the school districts and the agencies throughout the state of Wyoming. Some of the things that we looked at, one of the things we looked at, and I talked to you guys about this before, was the possible constitutional amendment for the right to privacy. We had issues with that in the last meeting, specifically along the reasons that it could possibly be used by a state employee to protect state information from the public. And that's a big concern. That we definitely don't want that to happen. Knowing that, we asked our legislative staff to work with that draft and see if we can find a way to insert the public's right to know within that constitutional amendment. And I really think they did it. They did a fantastic job. It not only protects your right to privacy, but it also ensures that you have a right to know what your government is up to, and it specifically states that in there, so that we can't have that possible situation where a state employee tries to invoke that constitutional amendment to keep public knowledge from being shared with the public. That's a pretty paramount aspect of it, and our staff did a fantastic job. We've got pretty fantastic staff on this committee, or on this task force, pardon me. One of which is Matt Sackett. A lot of you in House District 1 over by Sundance will know that name very well. Matt Sackett is a hometown boy, and he's really done a great job at the Legislative Service Office. He's really risen up through the ranks, and pretty proud of that guy. Another one is Anna Mumford. A lot of you probably don't know that name, but the Yemingtons do. The Yemingtons, that's actually Sam Yemington's girlfriend. So, no surprises that they would be extremely good at their job, because they've got roots back to House District 1. We also looked at some issues back to the University of Wyoming email situation, where that is a public records request can view those emails. That is a huge situation that we found out about last meeting, and we had several pieces of draft legislation that we're still working on. We're still trying to find the right one. My preference on that would be that not only should we ensure that in statute for the University of Wyoming students, but let's just go ahead and ensure that K through 12 and all the colleges are included in that. And here's the reason why: as of right now, the Public Records Act is kind of vague in the sense that it doesn't specifically say that students are exempted from that. So some colleges are saying absolutely not, we do not release that. The University of Wyoming is saying we do, because it is not specifically exempted out. Some K through 12 schools are saying no, we don't do that, but the possibility remains. So I think just to protect these students, I don't think it hurts to insert that into statute, and we're trying to find the right language that still protects these students all the way from kindergarten on up to the University of Wyoming or one of the colleges. And that's something that we're going to concentrate on pretty hard. We looked at something called the Peace Act. The Peace Act was brought to us by NetChoice and Facebook. And NetChoice represents a conglomerate of different outfits such as Google. And the Peace Act has to do with your digital online accounts and what happens when you pass away with those accounts. And how your loved ones can actually get at those accounts if they so choose to want to, if it's not specifically stated what were to happen in those with those accounts. Which I would suggest that anybody that does have an online presence to update your will, state whether or not you want those accounts to survive you or not, such as your Facebook account, your email accounts, your Twitter account, what have you, your Amazon account, or do you want those all to pass away when you pass away? That is something that is serious, and it needs to be part of your will if it's not already. And I'd ask each and every one of you to look into that situation. We also looked at we took some really good testimony from a lot of people. Bob Bonner out of Weston County was there. The superintendent was also there for the Newcastle School District. And really good testimony given from the University of Wyoming also. University of Wyoming, they were there obviously to talk about the email situation. And we found out some stuff that really kind of bumps up against the Constitution pretty hard, such as of right now, it's the university's policy that if while they're going through emails for a public records request, if they run across something that is illegal in one of those emails, they turn it over to UWPD, which I'm pretty sure everybody on the task force sat back on that one, because that does bump against the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution pretty hard, and it could possibly bump against the Fifth too with self-incrimination. So we're gonna keep studying that, and I am confident there will be legislation this next session to clean that whole situation up, because it's kind of a mess. And I'm not blaming the University of Wyoming at all. I think this is our fault for not ensuring that the Public Records Act covered those types of situations. A lot of thoughts gone into this, into the Public Records Act as it is, and there needs to be more done with it to ensure that those public employees, those are the ones that can have their emails gone through. Those are the ones that should be open. But students are not public officials, nor are they public employees. And we get down to a situation where possibly a student could be a public employee, and that's why we have to study this more, because what takes precedence at that point? Does a public employee that also goes to the University of Wyoming, does he or she then at that point, are they exempted completely, and their work email also? I don't think they should be, but their academic email definitely should be. So that's what we're looking at. We're trying to wordsmith it right so that we don't screw it up. Looked at we looked at quite a bit. We talked a lot about, we talked to some of the folks from the Department of Education, which one of them was Leslie Zimmerscheid, and for those of you in House District 1 know that Zimmerscheids are from out in the western part of Crook County, out by Moorcroft. So it's always good to see folks from back home. In regards to the Department of Education, a lot of our questions are, what are you doing with student data? And how are you instructing these school districts on what type of data you need? Because it's not really a clear situation. It's not a clear-cut situation by any means. So we're looking at that pretty hard too. And we're hoping to have everything wrapped up during our next meeting in September. And that next meeting will be in Laramie at the University of Wyoming. So I'm hoping that maybe word of this will get around, and we'll have a big presence there from students at the University of Wyoming I think that'd be outstanding to have that testimony from them on their thoughts on this. You know, we also talked to the some students were at this last meeting, and they talked about how basically all their friends that they've talked to, hardly anybody even knows that their email could be public record. And that's not to say that these kids are not paying attention. It just happens to be that it's, you know, when you enroll in college or in university, just like anything else, or just like starting a new job, you've got a ton on your mind. You've got a lot of paperwork to go through, and that's just one of the many pieces of paperwork that's shuffled at you. So it's no surprise that I'd say the majority of the students at the University of Wyoming or the colleges have no clue that technically their emails could be open to public records requests, and that's what we're looking to close that gap on, so that they don't have to worry about that. They shouldn't have to worry about that. All they should have to worry about is getting good grades and getting through their academics in a timely manner, and that's what we aim for here in the state of Wyoming. So I'm going to be at the Crook and Weston County fairs for the next couple of days, and if at any time you see me and you want to hit me over the head about something, please do. In Crook County, I'll be spending a lot of time around the sheep pens. My daughters both have sheep and chickens at the fair this year, but I'll also be spending quite a bit of time over the Republican Party tent in Crook County. So if at any time you want to talk to me about what's going on in the state, anything to do with revenues or any pieces of legislation or possible legislation, don't hesitate to come over and talk to me about it. I'd really like the opportunity to do that. In Weston County, I'll just be kind of moseying around. So if you see me down there, please do the same. I'd really like the opportunity there also. So until my next update, which most likely won't be until September or August, pardon me. I've got a corporations committee meeting in August. We'll see you around House District 1. Thanks.